Hey guys, just wanted to do a short video for you today going over chapter 8 stuff. I always say it's a short video every time, but today is just a short video. I'm only going to show you the formulas that you need to know for each question, the way that the questions are worded, and stuff like that to look out for on the quiz. One thing, if you have not scheduled a time to take your test, the midterm exam, you need to do that ASAP because the slots are filling up, and of course people want to take that test on Thursday, which is the last day to do it. If that is what you want to do, then I suggest you get it scheduled as soon as possible. The last time to take that test on Thursday is 3 p.m. and that gives you 2 hours to take the test and be done by 5 p.m. The test cuts off at 5 p.m. on Thursday. I have to turn in y'all's midterm grades on Friday, so get that done ASAP. If you have any questions in regards to the midterm, let me know. You get 2 hours to take the test, and you get to use one sheet of paper, front and back. I think my announcement said only can use the one side, but you are allowed to use front and back on the test. There are 2 reviews. Make sure you look at the reviews. There's a homework version. The homework version is just like your homework. You get to view an example and you get to look at it and do the question multiple times. The other version is a quiz version. And I would do this quiz version before I take the test. That way you know if you're ready or not, because you don't get to just view an example. You work through the entire quiz, practice quiz, and you submit the quiz at the very end, and then you get your results at the end. And so it's very similar to the test. I would work through the homework version first, then go through the quiz version next. So again, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. We are almost halfway through the semester, so good job, everybody. Keep up the good work. We will be done soon. So I hope this review helps. Like I said, it's just the formulas that you need to know for the test. Okay. Alrighty. Chapter 8 is over personal finance. Chapter 8 quiz has 12 questions. So let's just start at the very beginning. So question number 1, find simple interest. Our simple interest formula is this: I equals P times R times T. P is our principal, R is our rate, and T is our time. Our time is always in years. And so our rate, something about our rate, that is our R in the formula. And say that they give you 5.5% as the interest rate. 5.5% is 5.5 out of 100%. So 5.5 divided by 100 is 0.055. This is our R. This is what we're going to put into our formula. We're not going to put 5.5. We have to put the decimal version. And then our time is always in years. So 18 months, 9 months, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put the months over 12. Because we want it in years. So anytime if they give you like 5 years, then T, of course, equals 5. But whenever they give you months, this is how you do it. Don't do this unless it is in months. If it's in years, you'll just put the regular whatever it is. Alrighty, so that is the simple interest. And so rounding, they're going to tell you round to the nearest cent, round up to the nearest cent, round to the hundredth. And just FYI, rounding to the hundredth and to the nearest cent, they are both 2 decimal places. And on some of them where you have to find the percent, they're going to tell you to round to the nearest tenth. So, when it tells you to round to the nearest cent, you're going to round like normal. So let's say that we have 5.437. We are going to round it 5.44, okay? Whenever they tell you to round up, you have to go up no matter what. So let's say that they give us like 57.33 and they tell you to round up. We have to go up. So it's going to be 57.34. So read your rounding directions. You will have rounding directions on every problem. Alrighty, question 2. Find the loan's future value. And it's going to say somewhere in that question, borrowed at a simple interest rate. Here is your formula. A equals P, parentheses, 1 plus R times T, close parentheses. You have to do the parentheses correctly in these formulas. Alrighty, determine the simple interest rate. So this is going to be a percent. You know it's a percent because they're going to give you a box to enter your answer, and to the right of that box there's going to be a percent. So you know you're looking for a percent. Anytime you're going to do that, you're going to multiply your final answer by 100. So after we do everything in our parentheses, we're going to multiply that answer by 100 and it's going to give us our percent. So basically what we're doing is we're going to be working backwards from here to get our percent value. And on all these, they're going to tell you to round to the nearest tenth. The nearest tenth is 1 decimal place. So you'll round it like that. Alrighty, next question. Find present value or the principal. They call these P's different things. Principal, present value, they're the same thing. So P equals A divided by 1 plus R times T. So this formula is the same formula. We're just rearranging these two formulas. In this case, we're finding A. And in this case, we're finding what P is. Alrighty, that is all for 8.3. Moving on to 8.4. This is the two-part question. They are going to tell you, find the value of the account after so many years. Notice that they do not say find the future value. So anytime they say that find the value after so many years, you know that you're looking in the future because after like 5 years, that's not the present. So we're going to use A equals P times 1 plus R divided by N to the NT power. N is how often it's compounded. The different N values. We have annually, N equals 1. Semi-annually, N equals 2. Quarterly, N equals 4. Monthly, N equals 12. And then weekly, N equals 52. Daily, N equals 360. I don't think there's any on there like that, but they don't use 365. I don't know why. I think it's something to do with the holidays, but they use daily as 360. So, A equals P, parentheses, 1 plus R over N to the NT. Whenever you are putting this into your calculator, if you don't have a TI-84, if you're not using some type of app to do that, you are going to put everything into one line. So you'll do P, open parentheses, 1 plus R divided by N. Close your parentheses, and you'll use this caret symbol to do your exponent. Now, anytime you have your exponent where it's multiplying something, you have to put everything in the exponent in parentheses. If you don't put all this in parentheses, it's only going to take your N and not your T. So it'll take your N to the exponent, and then it'll start multiplying everything, all of this, by T, and you don't want it to do that. So this is the caret. If you don't have a TI-84, I can't tell you where it's at. The TI-84, it's on the right side of your buttons. But this is how you are going to put in your equation. And if you put it on like a computer, some type of software on your computer, and it's just one line. This is how you have to do it. Alrighty, so you're going to find the future value. You're going to find the value of the account after so many years. How you know you're using this formula is it's going to say subject to a compound interest rate. This is your key word. Make sure you write this down. And then the second part is going to find your interest earned. So you're putting money into an account and you're earning interest on it. After so many years, you have this value, which is your future value, but you only put in this much, which is your principal. So whenever you take your future value minus your principal, it tells you how much interest that you have earned. Alrighty, next question. Find the value to deposit today. Again, they're not telling you find the present value. They're telling you to find the value today. Anytime that you see today, you know it's the present value. And again, it's the same formula. We just have rearranged it to find our P. P equals A divided by 1 plus R over N to the NT power. Find effective annual yield. Effective annual yield, we have all of this in parentheses. We have 1 plus R over N, all to the N power, and then all of that minus 1. We will then multiply by 100 to get to our percent. 8.5. It's, again, going to tell you find the value of the annuity after so many years, so you know you're looking for the future value, and then you have to find the interest as well. Value of the annuity, whenever you see annuity, you know that you're going to be using this formula. It's a pretty long formula. We have that A equals P, parentheses, parentheses, and then we have 1 plus R over N to the NT minus 1, all over Rn. And then whenever we find our interest, we have our future value, and we're going to subtract out our payments. So we put in so much money every year or every month, whatever it is, after so many years, and that tells us how much we have. Alrighty, continuing on. 8.5, the periodic deposit. Again, it's our same formula. We're just rearranging and finding for P. So P equals A times R over N, and then divided by 1 plus R over N to the NT power, all minus 1. And then our 1 is in the denominator. It's not over here to the side, so it still stays in our denominator. You don't have to put parentheses around all of this, but if it makes you feel better, go for it. All right, and again, this is a two-part question. It's going to tell you to find the periodic deposit. So we know how much we want in the future. It'll have our financial goal is what they call it. And that's our A value. And we want to know how much we have to put in every so often to reach that financial goal. And so after we figure out what the periodic deposit is, it's going to ask you how much of the financial goal comes from deposits and how much is your interest. So our deposits is everything that we put in. So our periodic deposit, how often we do it and for how many years is our total deposits. And then our interest, we take the financial goal minus our deposits, and that is how much interest that we have made on our account. 8.6 is the monthly car payment. They give you this formula. I still wrote it down though, in case that you want to put it on your notes or whatever. Monthly car payment, they're going to tell you how much your loan is for. Don't forget the down payment amount if there is one. It's 2 parts. You're going to figure out your monthly payment, and then you're going to find how much interest you have paid. And anytime you borrow money, you're paying the interest. So our interest, we have to take our payments times our how often we pay it. So all of these I'm pretty sure are monthly, so N equals 12, and for how many years we're paying that car payment. After we take all of our payments, we're going to subtract out our loan amount, and that is our interest, the total interest that we have paid on that car. Same thing on the house payment. It's the same formula. And also, one thing about this formula, this is a negative. If you have a TI-84, you cannot use the subtraction. You can't use this button and this button. There is a different number for a negative, so make sure you're using that. I do have videos for calculator stuff. Alrighty, so you're gonna the monthly mortgage payment, you're going to compare the 20 years to a 30-year. So essentially, you're working the 20-year payment and the 30-year payment. So you're doing two problems in one. You're going to find the payment amount for both options. You're going to calculate the total cost of house for both options. And then you're going to calculate the interest on both options. To find how much you saved with the 20-year option, you have to subtract both of the interest amounts and find the difference, and that tells you how much that you saved. Alrighty, and then the last one is the 8.8, the credit card one. So we're going to find all of our balances on our credit card. We're going to use the table, and there's 4 parts on this one. You're going to find your average daily balance, your interest, new balance on the first, and then the last part is find the minimum payment. So I have actually worked out one for y'all, and I'm going to walk you through it, try to walk you through it quickly. So the given, what they give you is everything that is in this box right here. I'm going to cover all this up. They give you all of this, and then they tell you that your interest rate is 1.5%. So, all of the dates I'm going to tell you are the same. They keep these March 1st, March 5th, all that stuff stays the same. The only thing that changes is your amounts. So, our balance we're starting off with is $6,350. Okay. I have made a table. We have on the top row, balance, the number of days unpaid, and then your unpaid balance, and then we have all of our dates. So I'm only going to work one side, and then we'll move to the left. So we're going to do our balances first. I believe that this is the easiest way to do this problem. So we're going to go through all of our transactions. We start off with $6,350 on the first. On March 5th, we make a payment of $300. So this is money that we owe the credit card company. This is money that we're essentially borrowing from the credit card company. So if we're owing $6,350 and we pay $300, we don't owe that much anymore. We go down because we pay on what we owe. So now we only owe $6,050 on March 5th. Okay, March 7th, March 12th, and March 21st are all charges. So our balance is going to go up because we're spending more money that is not ours. Means that we now owe more money on that card. So $60.50 goes up to $60.80 with $30. On March 12th, we spend $90, so we go up to $61.70. And then on March 21st, we spend $260, so it goes up to $64.30. This is our balance on the 31st because there are no more transactions after the 21st. So our balance on the 31st is this $64.30. All right, our next column is the number of days unpaid. Now, this one is really weird. You kind of have to just count on your hands to figure this one out. So the way that this works is we have to account for all days in this month of March. So we have to start with the first. And we're going to go the 1st through the 4th is the number of days unpaid because the next time we pay is on March 5th. So our number of days unpaid is 4 for this row. Moving down, we go from 3/5 to 3/6. Notice that whatever the following date is on the next line, we cannot include that in this row. We can only include on this row March 5th and March 6th, which is 2 days. For this row, we can only include March 7th through the 11th because the next row starts with March 12th. So March 7th through the 11th is 5 days. Our next row is March 12th through the 20th because the next day is the 21st. That's 9 days. And then the 21st through the 31st is 11 days. I know it's weird, but you have to like count on your fingers for this one. And all of these days has to add up to the total number of days in the month. So all of these have to add up to 31 days. And then our last column is our unpaid balance. All you're doing here is you're taking the amount from the first column and you're multiplying it by the number of days, and this is now our unpaid balance column. Okay, so this is just the work that we have to do before we get started. We can now move on to our problems. So average daily balance, we have to take the sum of the unpaid balances divided by the number of days in the billing period. So we're going to add up all of these values. So the 25,400, the 12,000, the 30,000, all 5 of these add up to 194,160. We divide it by 31 days in the month, and our average daily balance is 62.63. Okay, so this is just like an average of your balance throughout the month because it fluctuates. Our lowest amount is 6,000. Our highest amount is 6,400. This is in between those two numbers, so it's an average of our balance every day. Round to the cent. All right, how much interest are we going to have to pay? We owe, this is our average daily balance. We're going to take that average daily balance and we're going to multiply it by the interest rate. They give us our interest rate at the very beginning. So we're going to multiply it by 0.015, and then our time is 1 because our billing period is monthly here. So this is the only time that we can use 1 month as 1. Okay, so our interest is $93.95. Alrighty, C, our balance due on April 1st. Okay, so we have to take our balance on April 31st, which is this very last value, 64.30. And we have to add the interest that we are getting tacked on. So our interest from B added on to our balance, we get $65.23.95. And then the last part is the minimum monthly payment. Minimum monthly payment, you have to take your new balance on April 1st and you have to multiply by 1/36, or you can just divide it. And this is how much we have to pay. If we were going to quit spending stuff on our credit card and we wanted to pay it off, we'd have to pay this minimum amount to be done with it. Alrighty guys, hope that helped y'all. This was a little bit longer than expected as usual, but this is some good information.